Good evening. This is KC9UDX. My name is Matt, and I welcome you to the 2 a.m. net. The purpose of this net is to promote the use of amplitude modulation and also to establish this part of this band as a place for AM activity in this area. Everyone is invited to listen. Licensed amateurs who can do so legally are encouraged to check in. We listen in the AM mode and transmit in the AM mode where possible. If you cannot transmit in AM, we encourage you to listen in AM and transmit in FM. If you are transmitting in FM, please adjust your transmit frequency a couple kcs above or below from our receive frequency. This facilitates the use of slope detection, that is, demodulating your FM signal with our AM receivers. When checking in, please announce your call sign in standard phonetics. Again, this is KC9UDX. My name is Matt, and I will now begin accepting check-ins. Any stations wishing to check in, please come now. Anybody looking to check into the 2 a.m. net, please come now. Well, I hope my signal is getting out and I'm being heard, but this is the 2 a.m. net. I am Net Control KC9UDX. My name is Matt. This is a 2-meter amplitude modulation net. We do this every month, second Tuesday of the month, 8 p.m. Anybody wishing to check in, please come now. Well, it's possible either everybody has forgotten about the net tonight, or my transmitter is not transmitting. I have no way to verify either at this point. But if you can hear me and you'd like to check into the 2 a.m. net, go ahead and check in. Come now, please. I'll keep trying for a couple more minutes here. Not sure if I'm being heard, but this is KC9UDX with the 2 a.m. net, 2 meters amplitude modulation. If you'd like to check into our net, some others may be joining soon. Go ahead and call now. CQ 2 meters AM. This is the 2 a.m. net. KC9UDX Net Control here. Any check-ins, please call now. Should be a boring December and a very short night here if we don't get any callers soon. This is KC9UDX calling the 2 a.m. net. Anybody wishing to check in, please call now. Well, as far as I can tell, I am transmitting. This is the 2 a.m. net. This is KC9UDX Net Control, 2 meters amplitude modulation. We meet every month at this time, 8 p.m. on the second Tuesday of every month. And if you're interested in checking in and you can hear me, please go ahead and try and check in. Call now, please. I guess I'll try a little longer here. This is KC9UDX calling the 2 a.m. net. Anybody wishing to check in, call now, please. Without any callers, we have no net. It's been a couple of years, I think, since we've had this happen. So please call now if you'd like to join the 2 a.m. net. Call KC9UDX. This is the 2 a.m. net. This is KC9UDX net control. Anybody wishing to check into the 2 a.m. net, come now, please. Well, if you can hear me calling in AM, whether you transmit in AM or FM, you can join the net, and we'll actually have a net. This is the 2 a.m. net. This is KC9UDX. Call now, please. Well, I don't have a calendar in here anymore, but I'm pretty sure that this is the second Tuesday of December 2020. We do the 2 a.m. net every second Tuesday, 8 p.m. Central Time. So either I'm not getting a signal out or everybody has forgotten, which I guess either is possible. But if you can hear me calling, call the 2 a.m. net, KC9UDX net control. Call now. Well, we've got YouTuber Bratwurst. His real name is Joe. He's ready to join the net. But I'd like to get somebody else on the air here first. He has a good point that we've got some solar activity that might be affecting VHF, but I wouldn't expect that it would affect anybody within the local area that normally joins our net here. So if you can hear me calling, please go ahead and call KC9UDX net control.
Whiskey Bravo 9, Bravo, Whiskey Papa.
All right, we got one. There's Dave, WB9BWP. Either you can hear me on the air or you can hear me on YouTube. I'll let you tell me which it is, Dave. Go ahead.
Oh, I can hear you on the radio just fine. I haven't got YouTube dialed in yet. And according to my notes, it's probably about the same as last time. I think I missed last month, I think. Everything's torn apart down here radio-wise, so that's a long story. But I'm trying to enough together that I can hit a couple nets during the week, and so here I am. But yeah, your signal sounds fine over here, and at least as of Monday night, my other band was pretty good because during the MSOE net, with their repeaters on the 145.27, that also happens to be a Michigan repeater, and not as strong as maybe in the middle of summer, but I was hearing Michigan pretty well over here, so, but you're getting out just fine, at least as far as my spot is. Go ahead.
All right, that's good to know. I know in the distant past I've had issues where I wasn't transmitting for some reason or something was wrong with my antenna system, but everything seems to be in proper order, and I guess you verified that it is. So I'll just assume that everybody else has forgotten. You know, the first was last Tuesday, I believe, so I guess it would be kind of easy to forget that this is the second Tuesday. I know when weeks normally happen like that, you know, this would be the first Tuesday. You know, if the first was on Wednesday last week, so it might be easy to mistake that. And Joe on YouTube is saying that the video is about 2 minutes behind, and I can't verify that. It's possible. I'm not sure if my clock here is correct. I've got several clocks reading different things here, which makes me wonder if I was calling the net too early or what's going on. I'm not sure. But let's see if we have any more callers for the 2 a.m. net. Come now, please.
Kilowatt 9, Foxtrot, India.
All right, we got Jerry, K9FI. We also have Joe, Bratwurst on YouTube on the phone. Stand by, Joe. Do we have anybody else? Call now, please. All right, hearing none, I'll go to you first, Jerry. Jerry, please tell me what time it is. I've got clocks here that are all reading different. Maybe I'm running the net at the wrong time, and that's why nobody was around earlier. Go ahead, Jerry.
Okay, Matt. I'll say good evening to you. And my wife reminded me that was Tuesday night. Otherwise, I almost go into brain feed. I'm telling you. But I got about my clock says 8:03. I think it's 8:03. I don't know if that's exactly perfect, but well, let's see. One clock is 8.00. The other one says 8:03. So I'm not exactly sure which one's perfect. Back to you, Matt. K9FI.
All right, well, I'm going to assume my clocks here are just wrong then, and maybe that's why nobody was around 10 minutes ago when I was calling. I was 10 minutes too early. I guess I should have worn my watch or brought my phone down here or something. So it's good to have you, Jerry, and I forgot to say before, Dave, welcome back. But next we'll go to Joe. Joe, go ahead and take a turn.
All right, thanks. Hi, everybody. This month has kind of really flown by. Feels like really not very long ago was the last net. Still got to remember what I kind of mentally wrote down to talk about. But anyways, I guess right off the bat, maybe I'll start with asking where a frequency counter connects to, because that has kind of been baffling me, which is strange because apparently they're pretty common little pieces of technology, but I have one here. I just bought one, but where definitely does it link to that? So, where's that to you?
All right, thank you, Joe. I'll see if I can reach a frequency counter here to put on the video. I guess it depends entirely on what kind of frequency counter you have. And I'm not really sure if this is showing up. I can't really see, but I've got in my hand a Radio Shack frequency counter, which I guess in this case you could connect something directly to the frequency counter, or in my case I've got a antenna connected to it. And for most situations you could do this either way, and there are advantages and disadvantages to directly connecting or using an antenna. I should be able to read the frequency that I'm transmitting on right now, but I may not have this thing in the right exact position here to catch the right signal. So I guess I can't demonstrate like that like I was hoping I would. Anyway, I'll let the other guys answer too, but hopefully that sort of answers the question. I guess it kind of depends what kind of connector it has on it and what the input impedance is. Maybe you could tell us what brand and model of frequency counter this is on your next turn here. And also, I didn't get a chance to finish watching that video of yours from last night. I was watching it at break time at work, and I ran out of break time. But the last thing I heard is that you were asking, I think, what it meant that there were TV channels, VHF high and low. And I do not remember exactly where the cutoff was for that, but the VHF band used to be divided, for television anyway, into high and low channels. And I think maybe that's what you're looking for. We'll see if some of the other guys know that answer too. But for now, I'll see if we have any more callers for the 2 a.m. net. Come now, please. All right, hearing none. Hopefully I didn't throw everybody off by starting early. We'll still try to run to the normal time here, but I'll have to cut off the YouTube stream early. Otherwise, it won't get transferred over to library. But with that, we'll go to the top of the list. Dave, WB9BWP from KC9UDX.
Okay. Yeah, the clock on the screen is fast. I've got 8:08 here. And I've got one of those same frequency counters. Actually, earlier this year, I went to use it. It was dead. I opened it up, and batteries had leaked. So not real bad. I was able to clean it up and it's working again. I also have a B&K, a benchtop frequency counter that I got for the high price of $0. Right now I can't even reach it because it's off in a pile in the other room. Like I said, everything is torn up here in the radio room. A little over a month ago, right on the other side of my wall here, actually it's a removable wall, so I can get to so I used to be able to get to the back of my stuff. Anyway, the other side of that wall is the furnace, and the discharge tube from the humidifier that's on the furnace had clogged, and it ran for probably about a day, spewing water on the floor, which generally comes into my room, which is carpeted, and of course carpet soaks up the water and stuff. Most of my things are in racks, and they were on wheels, except for all of my audio processing stuff, which was in a rack mounted on the wall. So in order to move the stuff on wheels away, I had to disconnect about 1 million cables. And then I said, boy, I should change this. And it's always dangerous when I say things like that, because then it results in major upheaval. And so I basically took everything out of the room, everything that I could actually fit through the doorway. It's a small room. Anyhow, it's not put together yet. Because in the meantime, we've had reasonable weather, and I've been doing I was going to go out today, but the forecast wasn't exactly right, and today was quite cold over here. But I'm hoping to get the next 2 days outside and finish up my work for the year out there. But, of course, every day I go outside is less time that I spend. Oh, forgot to let go of the foot switch. Every time, all the time I spend outside is less time I spend working on the stuff inside. Anyway, that's probably a sign that I've been talking too long, so I will try back to that. Oh, and I can almost hear Jerry, which is maybe a touch better than normal times. Anyway, this is WB9BWP.
All right, thank you, Dave. I don't know if you heard me mention earlier, but you probably know this already, too. We had a solar flare, or exactly, I don't remember what the event was, maybe a coronal mass ejection. I did not read up on it very well. Yesterday or the day before, which may be affecting us. I guess you never know until you experience it if it's going to be a benefit or a problem. And of course, as close together as we all are here, it shouldn't be too much of an effect, but it could be improving things for all I know. I can certainly relate to your water problem. I think it was 2 years ago I had the exact same thing happen, and I had a pretty good flood down here. And probably, I can't get up inside of there where the dirt buildup is. I blasted it out with air, but that probably didn't help very well because it did happen again this year, although it didn't get too bad because I was kind of watching for it. So before it actually flooded, I was able to clear it out again and get the water flowing out. So one of these days or years I'll have to actually tear into that stuff, which won't be too easy, and try and get whatever's in there out. Otherwise I'll just have to clean it out every year, I guess. And what else was I going to say? I forgot. So anyway, we'll go next to Jerry, K9FI from KC9UDX.
Okay, Matt, and good evening, Dave. I don't hear you guys on the internet yet. I suppose this is hooked up. I forgot your call sign, Matt, but I could copy right, but I can still copy. And as far as my wife was up there making cookies right now, and I was helping her make cookies before I came down here, so we're all in a spirit. She's making bunches of them. She's going to give them away to everybody. We can pay for ourselves because we're trying to lose weight, or how I say, not gain too much weight. But I have not been on the radio at all today. It's not this morning for the normal nut man on eating meters, but after that we're out doing other stuff. And with that, I'll turn it back to you, Matt, K9FI.
All right, thank you, Jerry, and fine business on the cookies. My wife did make cookies this last weekend, and I guess she's got to make a whole bunch more. So we'll see how that goes. She was told, I think the other day, that she is required to bring cookies for a Christmas party, so there's going to be a lot of cookies around here, I guess. And I think I remembered what I was going to say before. It was about this Radio Shack frequency counter. I was just going to say that this is, Dave, you know this too, this is a very handy frequency counter. And you reminded me that these batteries have probably been in mine for 6 or 7 years now. I probably need to open it up before I have the problem that you had of the leaking batteries. And with that, we'll go next to Joe. I'm not sure if we've answered your questions or given you more things to ask about, so go ahead and take a turn, Joe.
All right, thanks. And yes, my questions were actually answered. I've been messing around with it down here, and I just took this little probe thing, which is basically just a multimeter, multimeter thing with a poke at the end, with the grounding alligator clip hanging from it. And I kind of stuck it by a CFL that I have down here, and it was reading on the multimeter. And I turned the machine off and turn it back on, power cycle. question before, and this is a Hewlett Packard HP 5381A 80 megahertz frequency counter from the early to mid 70s, and according to this tag, in 1996 it read good up to, I can't read that, something megahertz. But looking at the internet, it looks like I got a really good deal on it. I found it at a store. So I'm kind of glad I didn't have to deal with the crazy shipping. But anyways, yeah, my questions I think for the most part were answered. And yeah, so thanks. I'll turn it back to you now.
All right, thank you, Joe. And I'm going to guess that you bought that at Axman. We'll find out here. I have a similar frequency counter. Mine's probably a little bit newer than yours. Mine will count, I think, up to 2 gigahertz. But in any case, I can tell you with certainty that the one that you have is a very nice unit and probably still works very well. So I think you'll find very good use out of that, even if you're only playing around with it. And you're going to get all kinds of crazy frequencies out of that CFL, I suspect. Something that you could play around with. I don't know if you have any signal generators, or even if you have one of these little FM transmitter units that you use for a CD player or an iPod or whatever in a car. I don't know how popular these things are anymore, but they used to be pretty much everywhere. You could easily measure the frequency output of one of those. And with that, we're at the bottom of the list. Do we have any more callers for the 2 a.m. net? Call now, please. All right. I guess I'll talk for a little while here. I'd say for me it's also been a quick month. We're pretty much going balls to the walls at work. And, well, there's an interesting saying, I guess, that reminds me of Kenny, KC9MXZ, many years ago now. One night asked everybody if we all knew what it meant to say that something was going to hell in a handbasket. So I guess I'll ask everybody on the net here if everybody knows what the actual term means to say something that is going balls to the walls. It's not something lewd or offensive like it almost sounds these days. But maybe you guys know what it is, and maybe not. So that's my story. I don't think I have too much new to report. I'll say that the other night, maybe it was a week ago or last weekend, I don't quite recall, my wife took my daughter outside to look for the Big Dipper, I guess, and they came back inside wildly exclaiming that they saw a bunch of stars in a perfectly straight line that all of a sudden disappeared. And I was kind of jokingly laughing at them. I knew what they were talking about, but clearly they didn't. And I believe what they saw was the Starlink satellite constellation, I guess. I'm not sure exactly how you define that. But I think most of us remember the Iridium satellites years ago. Well, these Starlink ones are much more visible. They do appear in a straight line when you can usually see them, and I believe they are put up by Elon Musk, one of his companies, for the purposes of transmitting internet. I'm not exactly sure. I could be way off on that, so if anybody knows, let me know. And otherwise, I thought I had something else to bring up here, but I can't think of anything. Oh, I came down here earlier, and I had to struggle with my camera. My camera mount that I made is apparently, well, it's made out of wood and it's unfinished, so it's probably expanding and shrinking with the temperature changes. So the camera had fallen, not fallen and damaged or anything, but just fallen to the point where the radio was out of view, so I had to monkey around with that, which wasn't the easiest thing, and I suppose I lost track of time and probably looked at the clock here and just trusted the clock, so that's how we ended up starting 10 minutes early. But with that, we'll go back to the top of the list. Dave, WB9BWP from KC9UDX.
Okay. Well, yeah, that's easy to get off track, let's say, time-wise. I'm looking around the room here right now. Currently, I think the only clock that I've got within sight while I'm on the radio is just what's on the computer. So I think that'd be right, because all my logging uses that. Yeah, the satellites, Iridium's still out there. I forget who owns it now. Motorola started that whole thing, but somebody else owns it, and I think they still sell satellite telephone service on it for some ridiculous amount of money. Well, I think it's maybe primarily, it's owned by a private company, but I think most of their business is government. Of course, then you can charge anything you want. And yeah, Starlink is the plan, or his plan, it is an Elon Musk thing, is to bring internet access to everyone, no matter where you are, kind of thing. I think they're actually doing some trials in a couple of cities or a couple of areas for free, the trials. Nobody knows what they plan on charging for it. So, people are excited about it now, but they may change their tune when they come out and say, oh yeah, it's going to cost you this much. And yeah, I think they are much more visible. I forget how many are up there now, and what the plan is, somewhere in the hundreds or maybe more, I'm not sure. That'd be great. We have even more stuff floating around. Pretty soon it'll just be a solid ring of metal around the planet. In fact, I was just reading about that. In fact, it's even come down through the FCC with if you're going to put up a satellite, you have to come up, or you have to have written plans for what happens to it when it's past its usefulness, kind of thing, because there were some discussions about trying to exempt hams from that. So that's the kind of stuff nobody thought about years ago. And there was something else that was brought up I was going to, the TV channels. I don't remember either the exact cutoff and there goes my foot again. The separation between high and low VHF, but now there's a very little on VHF TV. It's all on UHF. I think there's still a few VHF stations. I'm not sure why or how they ended up there. Channel 10 was still on VHF, not on Channel 10. Of course, that's the other thing that a lot of people don't know, is that all those channel numbers don't mean anything anymore. Everybody still says, I'm Channel 4, but it's not Channel 4, it's actually some other frequency. Anyhow, that's, when my foot slips off, I guess that's a sign. That's kind of like a new kind of timer. So I'll sign back to that. This is WB9BWP.
All right, thank you, Dave. And that's interesting about Iridium. I was not aware that it was still operational. For some reason, I thought that it had been decommissioned and probably fell out of the sky or something already. I guess I don't know why I thought that. And the whole reason I knew about Starlink was because people with telescopes complaining about the fact that Elon Musk, I guess, wants to cover the entire sky with these things, which is actually a very disturbing thing. And I don't know either what he would try to charge for internet. He's not the only one doing this, of course. Google, I got to witness one of these. I think this is what I saw anyway. It's the only way I could explain it. A weather balloon-like thing floating over the city of Waukesha a couple of months ago. Google has been doing this all over the place, and maybe I'm wrong that that's what that was, but this is what other people have reported seeing in cities where Google puts up a weather balloon at low altitude, giving out internet. And I don't know what either. Like you mentioned, nobody knows what they're going to charge for this. I would suspect, being Elon Musk, he's going to make it a premium thing that people will want to pay a lot of money for, kind of like Apple does. But I could be wrong, and maybe they're all going to do this for free. I think they're not doing this with good motives. I think they're doing this so that they can collect data on everybody. Hopefully I'm wrong about that, but it just seems that that's the way things go. All of Google's free services are free because they're mining data from everybody. I think that's pretty well known now. And you brought up something that really irritates me, how they did ATSC television. They made the channel numbers not the frequency, not related to the frequency in any way, and I can understand why they did that, but it's not gone in favor of what they decided. They wanted to make it so everybody knew what channel was on what number, no matter what frequency it was, but that didn't help because now everybody's got to rescan every now and then anyway. And I honestly wish that when they go to the next version of ATSC, which I guess they're headed towards very soon here, and I'm sure they won't do this, but I wish they would reassign the channel numbers so that they're fixed and they correlate to frequency again. I think that would help everybody. But I'm not in a position to make those decisions, and everybody probably disagrees with me. But with that, we'll go to Jerry, K9FI from KC9UDX.
Okay, Matt. I got my headphones on so I can hear Dave better. My reception over the internet is not very good today. I don't know what's going on, but I'll put the headphones on. He's coming in, but he's hearable, and with these headphones on, it turns the audio up a little better than when I can get off the volume control on the radio, and it helps to get rid of some of the noise on the frequency. But now you were talking about things that you were going to do, and I have a question about. I forgot what I was going to say. I got something. I'm in the right area, but let me see who's been comment. Oh, well, I'll let myself with those remembered next time. So hopefully you guys can hear. Back to you, Matt, K9FI.
All right, thank you, Jerry. I can hear you pretty well. If you're not hearing very well over the computer, that could be my fault. I normally am very good about turning up the volume on the radio to accommodate quieter reception here, but I have not been doing that, I guess, tonight. And of course, the audio here is always kind of flaky, barely working. This whole YouTube setup for me barely works, so it's never guaranteed to work at any given time, I guess. Now I forgot I was going to say something else here too, and now I derailed my train of thought. But next we'll go to Joe. Joe, go ahead and take a turn, please.
All right, thanks. I guess I'll start off by saying that I can hear Jerry pretty well over here over the phone, which is nice. But then I will go to apparently, this is according to Google, so I don't know if I'm looking at the right thing, but the high and low cutoff is apparently on here channel 6 VHF TV, which would be 88 megahertz or so, if my memory serves me right. That could be completely off from what the question was, but I just looked up what is the cutoff for high and low VHF. Yeah, and the CFL down here reads at 52 kilohertz, so I use this, but I just wanted to add that in because I thought that was kind of funny. So with that, I'll turn it back to you.
All right, thank you, Joe. And if you get a stable frequency out of that, I'd say you're lucky. They use pulse width modulation for voltage and current control, and that varies wildly. In almost all of these modern switch mode power supplies, that frequency goes all over the place, and it is a great bane to us radio amateurs. If you you ever get into this hobby, I think you'll find yourself exchanging out some of those CFLs for different technology, maybe even incandescents. Most of the bulbs I have here in this house are incandescent yet, for reasons of radio interference and for the fact that, well, they seem to work. I do not seem to have the problem that people report that they only last a couple of months. I've got light bulbs that have been in this house for the entire time I've lived here, which is going on 18 years now. So, and I've got bulbs in portable lamps that I've had before I lived here that are still old bulbs. So I guess I'm not a big fan of LEDs and CFLs. They don't seem to last as long as everybody predicts they will. I guess a lot of people seem to think that stuff just lasts forever, and that's not been my experience at all. But anyway, I won't go on and on about that. I brought up earlier the phrase balls to the walls. Maybe nobody was interested in that, but the term goes back to governors on steam engines. They had brass balls on the governor that were used as weights to centrifugally adjust the engine speed, or limit the engine speed, I should say. And when an engine was going too fast, the balls would be all the way up against the walls of the outside walls of the governor, and so that's where that term balls to the walls comes from. And I have been very lazy, I guess, about writing down things so I remember what to say, so I do not remember if I have anything else to say at this point. We're at the bottom of the list. I will see if we have any more check-ins for the 2 a.m. net. Come now, please. All right, hearing none, we'll go back to the top of the list. Dave, WB9BWP, it's your turn again from KC9UDX.
Okay. I forgot to offer my answer to the trivia question there. I didn't know exactly where it came from. I was just going to say that, to me it means full speed ahead kind of thing. And I guess that kind of makes sense. Full speed ahead fits into that explanation. So that's, I wasn't way off. Usually I have my own weird take for a lot of the English language, and it doesn't always mesh with most other people. Let's see here. I don't know where everybody is tonight. Of course, I wasn't here last time, so I can't comment on that. I haven't talked with Steve in a while, in a few weeks, and because everything's torn up here, I haven't been on HF in probably at least a month, so I haven't been on the Friday night 10-meter net where Frank usually is. Jerry's here because I've made sure to remind him on last Friday's MRAC net. Of course, he did miss the Saturday Fusion net. I have to keep always reminding him of these things. And I don't know how your schedule looks. Next Thursday, MRAC, we haven't had a December meeting since probably the mid-'80s, since we went to meetings on the last Thursday of the month. But since we're doing everything electronic now, we're having a meeting next Thursday on the 17th. It starts on the radio at 7 o'clock for an hour, and then it moves to Zoom at 8. But if you get a chance, feel free to jump in. Like I say, it starts on the radio on the repeater, 14539 at 7. And I've usually been the net control for that, always looking for, I got a reprieve 1 month. I got to see if I can convince other people to do it. And then on the Zoom side, this month we have John Cook, who's the national sales manager from Yesu, is joining us, and he's going to talk talk about whatever he feels like talking about, I guess. Anyhow, that's next Thursday. So, since we're not doing it in person and doing it electronically, there goes my foot again. I have this odd foot switch. It's actually from an old dictaphone, which it's a combination of 3 switches. And I was kind of stupid when I wired it, and I made the center one run the radio, and the 2 outside ones don't do anything. But if I don't have my foot just right, I'm not getting the center. As part of my putting everything back together here, I think I'm going to change that so that any of the 3 switches actually key the radio. Then I don't have to even look for the pedal, because that's the other problem I have. It's like, where's the foot pedal? I can't talk. Anyhow, with that, I'll send it back to you. This is WB9BWP.
All right, thank you, Dave. You gave me a great idea. I've got a pedal board for an electronic organ here. It's a 25-key pedal board, and it's kind of stashed away behind another organ, the one that I wanted to attach it to, and I'll probably never get around to doing that. And it's just taking up space there behind that organ. I could easily put it underneath the operating desk in here and use that. I could actually have a different pedal for different push to talk on every radio here. I wouldn't even have to like I do now. I've got everything running off of one switch. I could have them all separate, and it wouldn't even matter. I just have to make sure to remember to play the right note for the right radio. It would actually be really easy to do. So hopefully I don't get any wild ideas about taking on a project like that. And as far as next Thursday, I will probably be working when this is happening, so I won't be around. But you never know these days with the whole COVID business, and any given day I could be out of work for a while. Hopefully that doesn't happen, but if it does, then I guess I'll be there. I've only got one FM 2-meter transmitter that's in working condition right now, and I don't have a way to connect an external antenna to it, so I don't know that I'd be able to get on the repeater at all. And I did join up a Zoom meeting. I don't remember when it was now, and I don't remember if it was MRAC or if it was Mars. But one of the clubs had a Zoom meeting, and I joined up over the phone. I think most people don't realize you can do that. And everybody takes for granted when they're in a Zoom meeting that they can see everybody. Well, of course, there was no picture for me. And every time I tried to talk, I was doubling with somebody else, so nobody realized I was there. And I couldn't get a word in. I may have the capability to do Zoom on a computer here. I'm not sure. I've never tried it. So if the opportunity comes around, maybe I'll try that. Otherwise, I'll be back on the phone again trying to get a word in. And next we'll go to Jerry, K9FI. It's your turn again from KC9UDX.
Okay, Matt. Well, I'm using my headphones, and it's quite a bit better. But I got to figure out on the CS3000 where I can turn some of the RF frequency noise down. It's quite loud. And but anyhow, I could hear Dave, and I have to say to Dave, thank you for reminding me. It's nice that you did that. In fact, I wrote myself a note because of it. And let me see what I was going to say. Frequency counters, I have a couple of them. I guess I always look at the accuracy on their sheet, the specifications as far as parts per million, let's put it that way. But I haven't gotten that funky with one. In fact, the last time I was up on my son, he gave me a little Tektronix oscilloscope. It's a small unit, but I should get it down here once. When we're on the net, I can tell you what it is. If you can tell me if it was worthwhile for me to bring it back home. But I think we'll probably do most of the stuff that I was doing on HF and that sort of thing. But what I have been wanting to do is get a system or one of those meters for measuring variable capacitors, because I've been playing with my magnetic loop, and I was curious as to what what they really are. So maybe you guys have played with them with a digital voltmeter, not a voltmeter, a multimeter, like what you use at work for like an electrician has. I got some of those things. And they all talk about measuring capacity, but I don't know if they do well for variable capacitors. So with that, by the way, Joe is coming through quite well. I can hear him on my radio. Very good. And back to you, Matt, K9F5.
All right, thank you, Jerry. And it's one of the problems we have here on AM is it's very hard to be full quieting. Excuse me, full quieting. You can always hear the atmospheric noise, and I don't know what to do about that. Obviously, some stations are full quieting here, and that's not much of an issue. And of course, the louder you are, the less the noise is problems. So I'm not sure what to say about that otherwise. I don't know if there's any way to attenuate that other than increasing the signal-to-noise ratio. And in my opinion, those electronic capacitance meters, if you can find one that works, it will work just fine with a variable capacitor. Obviously, there's a slew rate. You turn it too fast, you won't be able to read it very accurately, but otherwise it should work just fine. If you've got a Fluke-branded digital multimeter that has that, I would say it probably works very well. I have not used that feature on my Fluke ever, I don't think. I've got a dedicated handheld capacitor meter, and it's one of these Chinese things, and I paid a good amount of money for it, I think, but it sort of works. It doesn't always work, and it's just not very reliable. I ran into somebody a few years ago, I can't remember his call sign. He had a very large antique capacitance meter for the that was made for the military, and it probably weighed about 200 pounds, and it was probably twice the size of my HF linear amplifier here, or maybe 3 times the size of it. It was monstrous, but it was incredibly accurate, and it worked by having an oscillator and measuring the frequency, I think. I don't exactly remember. Maybe you guys are familiar with that design. I used to be, and I'm not recalling it very well. But that's all I can say about that. And oscilloscopes, I've got quite a few of them, and only one that's in good working condition. And actually, it's been sitting down here not being used for so long that I should probably plug it in and make sure it still works, and plug it in once in a while to keep it working. But, oscilloscopes are a dime a dozen these days. Everybody's got these ones that you can plug into a phone or a computer, and I have tried to use those, and I don't like them at all. I think people that are used to using those can use them, and people that are used to using good old analog ones cannot use them. That's been my experience. But all of the digital ones do have the feature of being a storage scope, which obviously most of us don't have on our analog ones. And with that, next we'll go to Joe. Joe, go ahead and take a turn.
All right, thanks. I guess I'll start off with the balls to the wall thing. I forgot to submit my little answer thing for that, which was, I was going to guess more so as a joke that maybe balls to the wall means like what Elon Musk is doing with the internet or something. I don't know. He's always up to something. But anyways, kind of neat with the dictaphone pedal. I actually have a dictaphone down here, and I've used the pedal on my keyboard as a expression pedal. Now, it's like all or nothing with that thing because it's not variable. But I think I might know the exact pedal that we were talking about with that little setup there, and it reminded me of what I did with my keyboard. But anyways, it was also kind of funny to hear about Matt's idea with making I forgot what they're called, those output pedal thing for an organ into the microphone on and off switch for all of his different radios. I thought that was kind of a funny idea. Seems like a fun idea too. Yeah, I'll turn it back to you now. Thanks.
All right, thank you, Joe. And it's called a pedal board. I don't know the pedal clavier or something else. Maybe there's a better term for that. Maybe Dave knows. I just call it a pedal board. But yeah, it would be fun to have that, and it would be easy enough for me to do. But I know better than to tackle a project like that, even if it is something easy to do. I'll have all kinds of trouble. And I know exactly the kind of keyboard that you have. I have a very similar one, and I just thought you might like to know that you can still buy the proper expression pedal that keyboard was designed to operate with. Well, I shouldn't say for sure that you can still buy it. I guess now that I'm thinking about it, it was 20 years ago that I bought the one that I have. But I went into a music shop and I ordered it, and it was exactly the right one for that keyboard, which was made obviously 13 years, I think, before I bought that pedal. So I'm expecting that they still make that pedal for newer keyboards, so you could probably still get it. Although it may be kind of pricey. I'm not even sure what I paid for that. And with that, we're at the bottom of the list. We'll see if we have any last-minute check-ins for the 2 a.m. net. Come now, please. All right, hearing none, we'll go to the top of the list. We're kind of at the cutoff here. I'll call this the 7-3 round, but by all means, don't think you have to be quick. Go ahead and talk as long as you like. And Dave, I'll turn it over to you, WB9BWP from KC9UDX.
Okay. Be careful when you say talk as long as you like. To me. Anyhow, wow. Other people know that. I don't know how long it's. I don't even know if the company's still out there, but bringing up dictaphone and stuff. I remember as a kid, actually seeing those things, and like, wow, look at that. And Matt, your project there using the pedal board, that could make a magazine article. See, there's incentive for you. You can make a few bucks off of doing that. But I know what you mean about no matter how simple the project is, I don't have anything that actually happens quickly. I'll read stuff. I'll look at some woodworking things or something. Guys will talk about it. This is I do this kind of thing in a weekend, and I'm like, yeah, it take me a weekend just to think about it. That's kind of like how any of my stuff goes. That's kind of like why the radios are still all torn apart here, and I liken it to like I'm doing mini field days every other day because I'm setting up and tearing down all the time. Or something else I was going to turn to. Oh, the delay on YouTube is just huge tonight. I'm not really hearing Jerry well, but I can't listen to him there because by the time YouTube comes around where he's actually talking, he's done. And so I have to switch back live to listen. So I don't remember that being quite that much of a delay, but I know that they fiddle with that stuff all the time.